Cameron McCamley is with me from the Billings Fire Department. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We are only a week and a day away from 4th of July.
Yes, sir. Yep, just right around the corner for us.
Well, I had the chief on with me last week, Chief St. John, and basically he said anything that kind of goes boom is outlawed in the city of Billings.
It is, and it leads to a little bit of confusion sometimes. At least
clear it up.
Oh, okay. At least for the fire department, because so yes, in the city proper, which you have to look at a map because the annexation is always changing.
Cool.
Fireworks are illegal. That includes the rims, so the rims are considered a city park, so anything up on the rims is illegal. Now, the Billings Fire Department has a 10-mile donut, what we call the BUFSA, or Billings Urban Fire Service area, around the city. Now, that's county, so you can absolutely set off fireworks in the county. So every year, we go on calls where neighbors are calling in other neighbors saying, hey, you know, the neighbor right across the street is lighting off fireworks, and fireworks are illegal. You have to map it out, depending on what's going on. Now, that being said, if now we've had plenty of rain, but if we go into stage 2 fire restrictions, which is for the county, that is no fireworks at all. And with the rain we've had, I don't see that happening. There's been no discussions on that. But that's about the only time where fireworks are illegal in the counties if we're in stage 2 restrictions. So check your map, check where you are, especially if you're on one of those potential boundaries.
Let's talk about the day itself, 4th of July, RIM's going to be closed. What's the deal?
Yes, sir. So the RIM's closure, and it's the overall or overarching thought is the Billings Fire Department of the city doesn't want people to have fun, and that's nothing is farther from the truth. Back in the 80s, they closed the rims due to the previous 4th of July having multiple fires on the rims, and then when our firefighters were up there on the rims, folks shooting fireworks or knocking down rocks or debris on the firemen trying to fight those fires. So that's why, back in the 80s, that's why they closed them. Additionally, the Billings Fire Department, roughly a dozen times a year, goes on a rim rescue where somebody falls off the rims. And in doing so, it's a very labor-intensive process that takes a lot of manpower, a lot of equipment. If somebody happens to be up there on the rims and falls off and there's cars lining the whole rims, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to be able to get down to them.
Wow.
And help essentially solve their problem if we can.
You know, a big question, you know, people like to sit out in their backyard and everything, and, you know, the evenings get a little bit more chillier, so people like to have fire pits. Now, are fire pits legal in the city of Billings?
Yes, so fire pits are absolutely legal as long as what they call it's a portable fire pit. Now, there's a little gray area with portable. So, obviously, anything you can go buy at the store and have in your backyard is completely legal. If you want to build it, we encourage that. We just ask that you have some sort of a metal plate or a metal base or concrete, something solid underneath. Because what they found is if you just have dirt, roots can grow underneath that fire pit, and then even though you think you have the fire out, those roots can burn and smolder for several hours. And somebody puts out the fire pit at 10 o'clock at night, at 3 in the morning. They've got their own makeshift wildland fire in their backyard that they had no idea.
So if somebody builds their own fire pit, can they call up the fire department and have the fire department come over and look at it?
Anytime, please. Yes. Our number is 406-657-8423. Just ask for the fire marshal's office, and absolutely, they will come out and they will look over your either what you anticipate buying or what you already have and give you any recommendations. We would be more than happy to do that at any time.
You know, it's summertime, June 22nd, it's summertime, and it's a little bit more prevalent. You know, people will, you know, go to the grocery store or whatever, and they only plan to be in there for about 5 minutes, and they leave, you know, God forbid, their kids or an animal. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, and kind of where we're going into is it's a terrible term, but it's hot car deaths. And if you watch the news, you can see. I think we've already had 5 this year. We just had one recently in Texas. It's something that happens that's 100% preventable, and it's in our busy lives. What scientists have found as they've looked over this is most of the time what's going on is we're so busy and we're task focused on what we're doing, and over 50% of the time a child gets forgotten in the back of the car, maybe due to a different plan for the day or different circumstances. And so we would just ask that if there's a potential that you're going to have a child or a young one with you, put something in the back seat of the car that you can't go without in your day, whether it's a purse, a wallet, a cell phone, something that's going to prompt your memory to make sure you check the back seat before you go. We've been very fortunate here in Billings. We haven't yet to have a hot car death. We've come close a few times, but we have yet to have that. And even in today's, I think it's going to be 80, 85, or 87 degrees today. In just a few minutes, that car gets sweltering hot, and little ones are not able to regulate the temperature. Rolling down windows, anything like that, does very, very little to reduce those temperatures.
Something else I want to talk about here, and these came out many, many years ago. And when they first came out, you heard of fires and everything, these deep fat fryers, where, some people would, maybe put them under their deck or whatever and do the turkey and everything. And, things start going array and everything like that. And the house goes up in flames.
Right. I feel like there's been enough education out there that definitely less incidents of those for sure. Definitely don't put anything frozen in there. That's the big one. Is don't put anything frozen. Now, if you do have a cooking fire, any of that hot oil, remember, don't put as much as we want to put water on it. Don't do that. The grease is going to be able to sustain combustion, and it's not going to allow it to burn it. If anything, it's going to slosh out and create a bigger fire, whether it's a fryer or even in your kitchen. So baking soda, what they call an ABC extinguisher, or even just a lid. Throw a pan or a lid on top of that. Let it smother it out. Don't do your knee-jerk reaction of get some water. Or the other thing that I would highly recommend not doing is trying to take the burning pan and put it in the sink, because now you're sloshing around hot oil.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's a rule of thumb? People like to barbecue.
Sure.
Of having that barbecue grill away from the home. How many feet? What's a rule of thumb?
We say a minimum of 3 feet if we can, just to keep it away from siding or anything combustible like that. The other thing you really want to be cognizant of, especially if you live in a condo or an apartment, is your upstairs neighbors. Making sure you're not having any sort of ember, flame, anything getting to that deck above. Now it's part of fire code that they actually have sprinklers built into those decks to where if there is a problem. But yeah, a minimum of 3 feet away. The other one is planters. Please don't put, whether it's fireworks or cigarettes or matches, out in planter material. That's not real dirt, and we go on those a significant amount of time as far as putting them out. So if you can, definitely something with sand or a something with water in it that would absolutely put those out, because those planter fires they're a big problem.
Well, Juan, thank you for coming in this morning.
Absolutely, thank you.
It's 7:55 here at 98.1 KBEAR.